When they finally caught the city's most elusive serial killer, he had only one question for police. "How did you find me?" The lead detective didn't answer. He just looked past the interrogation room glass, down toward the basement archives, where a quiet, middle-aged woman with glasses was calmly putting away a file. The story of how she solved a case no one else could become the department's most guarded secret. Nothing. Miller's voice echoes in the tense room. No DNA, no prints, no witnesses. This guy is a ghost. We can't find a single link between the victims. A schoolteacher, a plumber, a bank teller, it's completely random. He's mocking us. Chief Thompson, a veteran cop with weary but sharp eyes, speaks from the back of the room. His voice is a low rumble of experience. There's no such thing as random, Miller. Only a pattern you haven't seen yet. Miller lets out a humorless laugh. What pattern, Chief? The only pattern is that he's smarter than us. The admission hangs in the air, a bitter pill for the ambitious young detective. The media had dubbed the killer the conductor for the meticulous, almost artistic precision of his crimes. He left no forensic evidence, as if he moved through the world without touching it. Chief Thompson sighs, running a hand over his face. Maybe you're looking in the wrong places. Sometimes the newest answers are buried in the oldest files. He fixes Miller with a decisive gaze. I want the archives. Everything. Every unsolved homicide. Every missing persons case from the last 50 years. I want it all brought upstairs. We're going to find his origin story. A collective groan ripples through the room. Miller's face falls. The archives of the precinct's graveyard, a place where cases went to die, buried under decades of dust and bureaucracy. The archives? Chief, that's a black hole. It'll take weeks. We'll have to get Evelyn to help. He says her name like it's a chore, the name of someone insignificant. The heavy metal door groans open, and Miller storms in, bringing the frantic energy of the upstairs world into the sepulchral quiet of the archives. Evelyn, Chief's orders. We need to pull the cold cases. Homicides. Last 50 years. Evelyn looks up, her gaze calm and steady from behind her glasses. All of them, detective? Her voice is soft, almost monotonous, a voice accustomed to silence. That will be thousands of files. I know, Miller says impatiently, already pulling open a random drawer. Just point us to the right cabinets. My team will handle the heavy lifting. He sees her as nothing more than a human index card, a tool to facilitate his real work. Without a word, Evelyn rises and begins to lead them through the maze. For days, the basement is a hive of activity. Young, eager detectives pull down dusty boxes, sifting through tragic stories, looking for a thread, a name, a clue that connects to the conductor. They find nothing. The patterns are elusive, the details disconnected. Exhaustion sets in. One by one, they give up, retreating back to the world of modern policing, of computers and forensics, leaving the mountain of paper behind. But Evelyn remains. Long after the detectives have gone home, under the dim glow of a single desk lamp, she works. She doesn't just read the files. She absorbs them. She sees the victims not as names, but as lives interrupted. She memorizes the details of the crime scenes, the weather on the night of the crime, the objects that were out of place. She is building a library of sorrow in her mind, looking for a book that has been misshelved. One night, buried deep in a box of municipal planning documents, her fingers brush against a thick, bound report. The title reads, City of Easton, Hydrological Impact Assessment of the Great Flood of 1993. She pulls it out. Inside is a detailed map, color-coded to show the flood's devastation. It marks the areas where the water was highest, where the infrastructure collapsed, where the city's heart had, for a time, stopped beating. These were the forgotten zones, a geography of trauma. Evelyn carries the map to a small, clear table. She then takes out a copy of the murder map from upstairs, the one dotted with the locations of conductors' crimes. She places the old flood map over it. She holds her breath. It's a perfect match. Every murder location corresponds precisely to a point of catastrophic failure during the flood. The schoolteacher was found where a levee had broken. The plumber, where a water main had exploded. The banker, in a building whose foundation had been permanently washed away. The conductor wasn't choosing random victims. He was choosing locations. He was reenacting the city's trauma, one death at a time. The victims were merely props in his macabre theater. He was conducting a symphony of the city's pain. Evelyn's heart pounds. She grabs the two maps and runs. She takes the stairs two at a time, her quiet demeanor shattered by the urgency of her discovery. She bursts into the briefing room, where Miller and a few remaining detectives are staring blankly at the wall of photos. "The killer," she says, her voice breathless but clear. "He's not targeting people. He's targeting places. He's following the path of the 1993 flood." Miller turns, an annoyed expression on his face. "Evelyn, what are you talking about?" "Some kind of conspiracy theory." She spreads the maps across the table, her hand surprisingly steady. "This is not a theory, detective. It's a pattern, a geographical signature. He's a reenactor. He's treating the city like a single victim, and he's attacking its old wounds." She points to the maps. "And if I'm right, he's about to perform his finale." The last place of significant trauma during the flood was the old St. Jude's orphanage. It was cut off for 3 days. He's going there next. And his victim, it will be someone connected to that place. Someone from its past. The air in the room turns electric. Chief Thompson stares at Evelyn, and in his eyes there is more than just surprise. There is recognition, a flicker of an old memory. Miller is still skeptical. "This is a reach, Evelyn. It could be a coincidence." Evelyn turns to face Miller directly. For the first time, her voice loses its soft, mousy quality. It becomes sharp, analytical, and cold as steel. "It's not a coincidence. It's a psychological signature, a narcissistic obsession with reenacting and controlling trauma. He sees himself as a master artist, a conductor. And we just figured out his next note. The way she says it, the terminology, the confidence, the clinical precision, triggers something in Miller's memory. These weren't the words of a records clerk. They were the words of a profiler, the words of a legend he'd only read about at the FBI Academy, the words of Agent Evelyn Reed, the brilliant mind who had vanished from the field a decade ago after a case went horribly wrong. Chief Thompson steps in, his voice firm. "Miller, get a team. Get to that orphanage. Now, Evelyn, who are we looking for? Who's the victim?" Evelyn is already scanning a list she brought with her. The last living person to be adopted from St. Jude's before it closed. A man named Alistair Finch. He's a librarian. He lives 2 blocks from there. Miller, his skepticism finally shattered, races out of the room. When his team storms the derelict orphanage, they find the conductor standing over Alistair Finch, a moment away from completing his masterpiece. They catch him red-handed. "The maps. It was the flood maps, wasn't it?" The killer says, his voice calm. "Brilliant. Who saw it? Not you. You were all too busy looking for clues. You were listening for notes, but you couldn't hear the music. It was her, wasn't it? The quiet woman in the basement." Miller doesn't answer. He can only swallow hard, the truth of the killer's words hitting him. "It's her, isn't it, Chief?" Miller asks quietly. "Evelyn Reed." Thompson nods slowly. "The best profiler I ever knew. They said she could walk into a killer's mind and leave the lights on when she left. But on the last case, she went too deep, saw something she couldn't unsee. She chose to disappear into the archives to protect herself. But a mind like that, Miller, a mind like that never really retires." Miller's gaze drifts towards the stairwell, leading down to the basement. Down there, in the silence and the dust, out of the spotlight, Evelyn Reed is calmly sliding a file drawer shut. Her work is done. She has returned to her silence. The loudest minds often belong to the quietest people. They don't seek the spotlight. They seek the truth, hidden in the shadows of the past. For every detective chasing a lead, there is a guardian of memory, piecing together a puzzle no one else can see. Their battlefield is a human mind, and their victories are silent. So I ask you, who is the quiet genius in your life? The person who sees the patterns no one else does? Honor them in the comments below. And if you believe these stories of hidden intellect deserve to be told, subscribe to Untold Legacies. Help us celebrate the heroes of the mind. We'll see you in the next one.